This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome, everybody, to the Mailbag on this Friday, the 8th day of August, 2025, as we are a few weeks away now from Clash in Paris. Feels like an eternity now that we've slowed down the pacing of PLEs, but enjoy the pricing of the PLEs because, as you all know, with the deal that WWE has reached with ESPN, our pricing model will be increasing. That's not finalized yet, but starting in 2026, I don't know if it's right at the beginning of 2026, but we will be getting a price increase to $29.99, and they're promising even more PLEs, which I don't think is the answer. The answer is not more PLEs. The answer is quality PLEs. I would argue less PLEs would mean more, but hey, their model of success has been more is better, and there does come a point of regression, but let's get to the mailbag this week as we have some emails to get through, and we'll get to them in a second. I want to welcome you to the show. And if you haven't joined us before and you hear the ads throughout the show, you heard them at the beginning, that means you're on the ad-supported version of the show, but I encourage you to go to patreon.com/WWE podcast if you want to remove those ads. It's 7 days for free, and then at the onset, it's $1 a month. You can stay $1 a month, or you can increase your membership and get more benefits. But it's available to you if you don't appreciate the ads. It's not a good listening experience, I understand. But all right, let's go to our patrons. Patrons do get priority. So let's see here. Let's just go to Red to DJ. I haven't started with you in a while, DJ, as far as the first person, and then we'll get to somebody I haven't talked to in a while. So that'll be a nice hook. All right, so DJ says, is WWE really trying to convince us to subscribe to ESPN's new standalone streaming app to watch all WWE PLEs for $30 in 2026? I find it very insulting to most fans because now we have to commit to yet another streaming service on top of the couple others that we are currently subscribed to on Netflix to watch Raw, and at the moment, Peacock to watch remaining WWE PLEs in 2025. But then don't forget about SmackDown being either on Sling's streaming service or through a cable provider. Remember back in 2014 when they announced that they'll have a streaming service called the WWE Network, and it'll cost $9.99? I sound like an old timer by saying those were the good old days. Yeah, what a deal that was, huh? But that still didn't include Raw or SmackDown. It was very much delayed. I think you had to wait a month to get any kind of Raw or SmackDown episodes on the WWE Network when it existed here in the United States anyway. And it was all the PLEs for $10 a month, $120 for the entire year. Not bad. But now, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. If the cable model still existed, if we still had to buy pay-per-views, and you were somebody that bought the occasional pay-per-view, you bought the big four, and then maybe you bought it a few more, right? So you say you spent even 6 out of 12 PLEs, assuming there were 12 during the year. Now we have more, but that was just back in the day. So back then, so say you spent an average of $40, and that's underdoing it. Let me say $50. Probably $50 is more accurate per pay-per-view at the time. That's $300. So that's $300 just in pay-per-views that you used to buy, presuming you bought them. And you had to have a cable subscription that included USA at the time, or UPN, or various other networks. Remember what was it? Not TNT had WCW, but all the big cable networks, and those cost money. It wasn't a la carte, but you still had to have a cable subscription, of which most of us do not anymore. So that costs you, what, $100 a month maybe, depending on the package you got, extras, sports package, all that kind of crap. So that's $100 times 12. That's $1,200 a month. Or I'm sorry, $1,200 a year times or plus, I can't do math today, $300. So it's $1,500 per year just in your cable subscription and your 6 out of 12 month purchases of WWE pay-per-views. Now they want you to use $30 a month to get the PLEs. So if that price holds, they are going to have $360 a year being pulled out of everyone's pocket for just PLEs. On top of Netflix to watch Raw, which is, I don't know, is it $15 a month? Depends. Ad-free supported, whatever. So if you had $15 a month times 12, that's $180 on top of, what did I say, $340. So we're up to $520. That's just for Raw and the PLEs. Then you have SmackDown. Now, SmackDown can vary. Some people still have the cable version of USA Network. Perhaps they end up changing that. But so to watch SmackDown, if you don't have a cable subscription, you can do USA. I don't know if you can do it as a standalone, but if you get any kind of Sling, like so say you do Sling, I think Sling is another $20 a month. Let's just say 20 to be conservative if you want Sling, which comes up with, of course, a ton of other channels. So that's 120 times, let's see here, 120 times 20 times 12, 240. Again, plus 340 that I said was the pay-per-views, that the PLEs that you're going to have to purchase, which is $580. Oh, yeah, plus the Netflix, which was, what is it? Say $20 or $15 a month. So we're up to $760. All right. $760 versus that's half. That's actually still half if you purchase the PLEs back in the day, 6 out of 12. All right. That's not bad. Now, if you were somebody that didn't purchase the PLEs, then it is a little bit more down to what you were already paying, 10, 20 years ago. But anyway, my point is the math isn't as bad as some people may make it out to be. $30 a month, if you're only paying 15, it seems like it's doubling your price. But in reality, it probably should have been $30 a month to begin with, if they're continuing on a pricing model that they believe is worth the value that they're providing, which is more PLEs. And I don't know if more is better, as I've said. They seem to think it is. I am of the opposite opinion. All right, anyway, let's get off the math. I thought the original plan was to move all of WWE's content to Netflix, where fans in North America could watch Raw, SmackDown, and the PLEs on Netflix, since NBC and Universal's contract ends in 2026. I envied the international fans because they could watch all the content on Netflix. I don't like this new partnership with ESPN with this very steep price point to watch PLEs and whatever other content will be on ESPN, the standalone streaming platform. The alternative methods to either watch the PLEs is to get a VPN and watch the content on Netflix, or watch the PLEs for free on some shady website that has a lot of pop-ups. Yeah, we've all done that. It's a pain in the ass. I've done it, and it's just like, yeah, I'm just going to pay the money and not have to deal with these pop-ups. It's just horrible. So it's worth the price of admission if you're going to deal with the pop-ups. With that being said, I might pay the $30, but still it's too pricey in my opinion. I wonder if most fans will decide not to subscribe. Well, again, this is not final, but if it's final, I think most fans will just begrudgingly buy it. You know what fans are going to do. They're going to complain and bitch and moan. And at the end of the day, what are they going to do? They're going to buy it. They're going to watch it. Most people will, I think. Because they'll justify it in their head of PLEs, or, they're doing 2 a month now, and we get 20 to 24 PLEs a year, which is, to me, absolutely absurd. But they're going to do that, and they'll find ways to make you justify that price in your mind. And I really don't think it's unreasonable. I mean, again, thinking about the pay-per-view model where we used to be, my only complaint is, and this is not just a complaint with wrestling, but it's a complaint with baseball, football, there's no consolidation of a place you can go to watch all the games or all the WWE content that you need. Like in a perfect world, we would have one app that has all of the historical content, all the Raws and SmackDown that, from 40 years ago that you could, all the content you would ever need in your life, all the old PLEs, all the WWE 24s and the UnReals and documentaries and everything you'd ever want, including Raw, including SmackDown, live Raw, live SmackDown, and the PLEs. That's a fantasy, though. While it sounds great for the consumer, from our end, we're like, yeah, why can't this just be one damn place? You know why? Money, contracts, bidding, sponsors. That's why. Right? If I'm WWE, I'm going to get much more money from having platforms bid on my content that I'm going to use their platform to present on. Right? Instead of having an in-house WWE Network app, which was great to begin with when streaming was streaming and they were trying to still find their footing, and it was great. I loved the WWE Network app. Worked really well. It was all content, very, very nice, very cleanly laid out. And then remember they moved to Peacock and you're like, yeah, this is all over the place. Nothing was organized. It wasn't good. And they've since smoothed it out. There's its own WWE section now. But they don't make the most money from having everything in-house. Again, all of this content that's split among different apps is because of money. They will not make the most money or anywhere near it if they consolidate it into a single app or an in-house app. They won't. They will not. So that's the reason. All right. In the Sami Zayn Karrion Kross match for Night 2 of SummerSlam, I was expecting to see Kross win and not Sami. The irony in that match was when Sami picked up the pipe to hit Kross, Sami decided to throw it away. And at that moment, it could have been Sami turning heel, but we didn't get it. Secondly, WWE has to stop toying with the fans that want to see Karrion Kross get some sort of push. I don't know if you caught this on the show after night 1 when the crowd was chanting "We Want Kross," but Triple H was on the final segment of the post show and said something like, "I hear ya, we want Brock." And yeah, I mean, he was toying with the crowd. I did see that, yes. Anyway, by the time this mailbag episode drops, both Scarlett and Kross will be hours away from their contract expiring. My take on this: if Triple H and creative don't see Kross as the main event guy, stop wasting his time and release him and his wife, because in my opinion, Kross would get that Rocket style push in any other promotion, such as AEW. I mean, Karrion Kross, I don't know what they're going to do. I will say that Karrion Kross did get a push. I mean, I don't know what fans are expecting with Karrion Kross here. He's been given an opportunity that comparatively to every other point in his career is a rocket ship boost. Remember the mask? Remember him getting fired, coming back, the Final Testament, getting no airtime whatsoever, not any mic time. And then all of a sudden he's getting one-on-one matches with a major star in the company in Sami Zayn. I would say that's a push. It's not the one that people think it should be, but it is one. And so we'll see what they do with it ultimately. I'm still, to me, the jury's still out on Karrion Kross. He doesn't ever have great matches, but he does have a magnetic personality. So I understand I understand why people like him. So thirdly, the so-called ruse of the century. I hated it. The fact we didn't get any news on Seth's so-called injury leading up to SummerSlam led to many speculations that it was work. And then to see Seth play off the so-called injury during the conclusion of night 1 was total BS. I understand it's all about progressing a story, but for Seth to do that and then cash in on Punk had me feeling angry. Anyway, I think a Punk Rumble win next year and a potential Punk Rollins WrestleMania 42 match for the title might just be the big payoff, even if there aren't any unforeseen or legit fake injuries along the way. That certainly is possible, but we've seen Punk Rollins a lot. I mean, it's essentially been Punk versus Rollins since he came back at Survivor Series in Chicago a couple of years ago. Because remember when Seth went off on him there, and ever since that point, it's been kind of like, oh, here we go. So it's essentially been Punk and Rollins for a couple of years now, even if it's been indirectly. And many direct matches. So that's fine if they want to do that, but they wouldn't be super fresh and new for Punk for me. All right. I really thought Cody was going to win, or turn rather. I was expecting him to turn, and after And when Cena officially turned back face, it would be interesting to see who Cody's next opponent's going to be. And you're thinking that next year's WrestleMania, somehow the final boss returns and aligns with Cody to be his corporate champion after defeating CM Punk for the Undisputed title. Well, again, I'm sorry, I have to disregard anything with The Rock. I don't believe anything they say or do. And apparently Saudi Arabia is trying to get him into a PLE over there. And they have got a ship ton of money. So I said ship, like cargo ship, ton of money. And just for those listening, they do have a boatload of money. That's probably a better analogy. So they might convince him. But I'm so over The Rock and his explanations and all the rest that I've talked about for months. So, alrighty. I think Brock turned because Cena probably wants a match against him for Clash or a couple of matches. I don't see Brock competing for the title again in 2022. Well, yeah, he doesn't need it. Exactly right. I don't need anything with Brock in a championship ever again, for the love of God. I mean, I love Brock Lesnar's from a professional wrestling standpoint. I think he's and is one of the biggest stars that the company and this industry has ever seen. But yeah, no, we don't need him in a title match at all. All right. And finally, what happened to R-Truth? He has disappeared. Creative had this push for him to face a heel Cena, but that quickly fizzled away as Truth went into a program with Aleister Black. The question is, with Cena now back to a babyface, what does that mean for Truth? Does Creative keep him as me against the world, or does Creative repackage him into this lovable comedic character? Because, in my opinion, Truth should have never come back. His me against the world character would have been great in other promotions, kind of the similar days in TNA and NWA. So yeah, that's a good point too. Like, what the hell has happened to Truth? Where is he? Working with Aleister Black is not exactly what people envisioned. And part of me wants to think there is a little bit of cynicism in WWE where they are thinking, okay, fans may have won the battle, but they're not going to win the war here. They made enough noise to force us to bring back R-Truth, but then we're going to bring him back and then make the fans feel guilty that they brought him back and now they have nothing for him. But then WWE saying, trying to lay it at our feet, like, you wanted him back, here he is. What do you want us to do? Well, that's not up to us, WWE. We're telling you the talent that Ron Killings is, and it's your responsibility to find a place for him, a suitable storyline, a character development story that we were hoping for. And I don't know why they even changed his character to begin with, because again, his character, his lovableness, his aloof kind of personality, his disconnection from reality was what made him fun. It's what made the fans connect with him. And now he became this serious dude that's still R-Truth. It has been a flub of a return. And it's also partly because they didn't expect him to come back. So they didn't know what to do with him. All right. Let's talk to another patron, Anthony. Anthony, it's been a while. Oh, this is going to be a fun one. You guys ready for this? This is Anthony, another patron. He says, for all the pearl-clutching, self-righteous liberals out there, the beast is back. Deal with it. Oh, jeez. Oh, that ought to endear half my audience to this show. Hey, it's all good. If I didn't want to read it, I wouldn't have read it, right? My decision. He more than likely is a total a-hole, like most famous people. But that still isn't illegal in the United States. Yeah, I mean, that's true. Being a total D-bag is not illegal. That's very true. Yes. You don't have to like somebody to respect what their contributions are. But yes, I mean, I've gone into detail about this, so I'm not going to spiral down that again, I promise. But thanks for that, Anthony. So SummerSlam was better than Mania. I can't wait to see how everything transpires. Seeing down the road after Raw, I can't wait for Roman and Rollins, maybe at 42. Will Roman get his shoe Afala? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, how much money is Roman spending on shoes lately? Too much. The Rock can continue to stay away. I agree. The Cena heel turn could have been so much more than it was. Don't insert yourself unless you're in it for the long haul. Becky was solid on the mic against Nikki. The "you can't see him anymore" was pure gold. I would agree. I'm enjoying UnReal. I know it's maybe a peek too much behind the curtain, but I feel like it endears people behind the characters to the audience. Disney getting their hooks into WWE through ESPN. $29.99 a month now. Have we seen the end of the multiple-time champion? I'm not sure what you mean. Will we see longer title defenses as opposed to someone winning a belt 10 times? Oh, well, I would say that Triple H, as a rule, general rule, he has been much more a proponent of longer title reigns than hot potato. Vince McMahon, as we all know, infamously was on the other side of things, where occasionally you'd have a long run, but most of the time it was every few months there'd be a new champion. Again, that's not a hard and fast rule. There were exceptions on both sides. But Triple H generally, I think, has been of the belief of longer runs. Now, again, you can point to examples even just right now. The change from Gunther to Jey Uso to Gunther to Seth Rollins in a 4-month span, that's by definition hot potato. But yeah, I mean, thank you, Anthony. Some good points here. The whole "you can't see him anymore" was gold. The UnReal show, you know, I've seen some of it. I understand that some people, there is an audience for it. It's getting a lot of talk. A lot of wrestlers talking about it, former talent. I still, as a fan, would like there to be just a speck of mystery left. I'm trying to make it more magical than it is. There are times I don't like, for example, when I go to I go to a pizza shop. I pick up a pizza on a Friday night. You know, you can see sometimes into the kitchen. Sometimes I don't want to see them making the pizza. I just want my pizza. I just want them to bring it out hot. I pay them and I leave. I don't need, it's not part of my experience. It's not really, to me, adding anything to the experience of eating the pizza that I see them make it. In the same way with WWE, I have never really needed to see how they make things work. I mean, from a production standpoint, it's pretty fascinating with all the cameras, and maybe they could do something like that where it's not just focused on the creative, it's focused on the production. I'd like to see them do something with the crew. Give some respect to the WWE production crew. Focus on them. That would be fascinating to me, of how they set up the ring, how the fireworks are timed. I mean, we've seen a little bit of that throughout the years, but like something exclusive to this. The cameras, the production truck, something that's not about creative, something that's just like purely business focused on the production and the ring setup and how things fit in the trucks that they bring in, and how they bring all that crap overseas to the shows, you know, when they do the couple week tour over, you know, in London and France and, you know, Saudi Arabia and all that. So that kind of thing. It's been mainly focused on creative here, and that's what a lot of people are looking at with the UnReal. I still think that it's just, I don't need to see it. We all know what it is. And I don't need to be reminded every 7 seconds what this is. It doesn't do anything for me to get more emotionally invested by watching it. So, all right, well, I'm in the minority here. Thanks, Anthony. Good to hear from you. Let's see. Where do we go? Well, I don't know where I'm going here. I'm clicking around. We got a lot of emails this week, so I may not get to them all. If I don't get to them all, I will always follow up on Sunday in the mailbag. So if you don't hear email or your voicemail, I will put them all in the Sunday night show. So just a little disclaimer there. Let's talk to Danny. Danny, we haven't heard from you in a while, or ever. Have we? Let's see what he says. He says, I'm Danny from Baltimore. So, well, welcome. It's your first time writing after being an avid listener for the past couple of years. Wow, a couple of years. Good stuff. Just wanted to share my thoughts on the main event of SummerSlam and the overall heel run of Johnny Cena. Okay. Regarding the match, I thought it was very enjoyable. However, it's getting ridiculous the amount of finishers we're seeing in matches. I feel like this has been a problem for a while, but this match was just too much. I get it, we're supposed to be whatever it takes for both men. But it got to a point where seeing the fifth AA or fifth Crossroads where you just knew they were going to kick out. I mean, heck, hey, Danny, I've been barking up this tree for years, and it's getting worse. It's getting worse and worse where I don't know who is telling the talent or the agents who are helping the talent book the match or the creative production team themselves, whoever is coming up with the idea or enforcing the idea or encouraging the idea that the ends of matches, like as you get towards the, where you're trying to, power moves happen and kickouts happen and false finishes happen. When you get to the more believable part of a false finish section of a match that is coming, the formula doesn't need to be kick out of more finishers. That has been the formula over many years now. And to me, it just totally washes away the meaning of a finish. Because if your finish is being kicked out of on a regular basis, not the occasional big PLE in a big moment, that's fine. But when a big finish is being kicked out of many times over years, it doesn't make you excited when you see a finish. The immediate thought is, and everybody knows this is true, it's not going to finish it. It's going to take another, it's going to take at least two to three. And what do we see during the John Cena and Cody Rhodes match, which again, to your point, was very good and I think a total remediation of their WrestleMania match. Doesn't wash away how terrible WrestleMania was, but it makes you feel a little bit better about it because they were able to have that kind of a match, and credit to both men. But again, everybody has bought into, including the top talent in the company, as we saw, that kicking out of more finishers is just better, and the more you kick out, the better it is. I totally disagree. I couldn't disagree more. Now, historically, the AA has been kicked out of probably more than any finish in professional wrestling history. It just has. When you look back, even during John Cena's heyday, when he was the top guy in the early 2000s, 2010s, late 2000s, even into the mid 2010s, and then he started to kind of phase out. It was a finish that you knew was going to be kicked out of. Always has been, always will be, up until December anyway. So absolutely that is, it's a problem. The Crossroads, since it came to WWE and he's come back from AEW, it has been a finish that not only does it look horrible, but it is a finish that everybody kicks out of all the time on a regular basis. And again, the fact that it looks horrible and it never looks like it's actually that it's supposed to, even in a pro wrestling environment, I can't even make myself believe that it's devastating to his opponent because he's the one taking the bump. I don't even like the finish just from a visual perspective. The AA, okay, it doesn't look like the most devastating, but John Cena can toss somebody pretty good. He's a tall guy. So, okay, I can buy this as a finish. Cody Rhodes, on top of his finish being kicked out of, it just looks terrible. So there's that. I remember a day not too long ago when one finish did it. Think about Stone Cold Steve Austin, his very first victory at WrestleMania 14, his very first victory becoming the WWF champion at the time. That kicked off the hottest run that WWF had ever had, to this day has ever had. From a ratings perspective, the biggest pro wrestling ever was, that where the face of the company was Steve Austin. He won that match with a single stunner. No kick out. No kick out. Shawn Michaels didn't even hit Sweet Chin Music in that match. Now, granted, Shawn was injured in that match. He had a bad back. He went on to have surgery and take a 4-year absence. But they still could have easily done false finishes there, and they didn't. Because the finisher was respected. Now, of course, that's just one example. I'm cherry picking. You could go back through the annals of time and choose your own, where it wasn't constant kickouts of finishes. And it's not even kickouts of finishes like at big PLEs, as I've said. It's kickouts of finishes on regular televised events. And I bet you it happens at house shows, which is fine because it's house shows and they can do whatever they want. But just regular Raws and SmackDowns, kick out. And the announcers don't even get excited anymore when a kick out happens. That should be a big moment. We've all been sanitized. We've all been brainwashed to go, it's a kick out of a finish. Who cares? It's like, when they get to the third one, let me know. That's how it feels. And we shouldn't think like that. And we shouldn't be okay with being conditioned to think like that. It would be much better. And again, this is only going to be fixed with WWE's compliance, because the fans aren't going to get excited until all of a sudden WWE has for like an extended period where there's one finish that happens in a match and that ends the match, and fans are like, what? I can guarantee you if that happens even for just a week, fans are going to go, what the hell? What do you mean one finish the match? You could easily just say, well, it's a finish move, right? It's a finish move. Instead, it's being used. The finishing maneuvers have been transitioned to, or rather, they've been redefined to transition moves. The finish move is no longer an actual finish move. It's a transition move. And that should not be the case. All right. Finally, I believe the whole John Cena heel turn was botched, or the heel run. The face turn on SmackDown was done so poorly that it led me to believe it was all a work, but in the end it wasn't, and that was it. If the plan all along was to have just a terrible... Oh, wait. Maybe I'm reading that wrong. If that was the plan all along, that was just terrible booking. I feel like the plans they had for Cena's heel run were scrapped late and just decided to turn him face quicker than they wanted to. Thanks again. Hope all's well. Well, thanks, Danny, and same to you. I don't think it was the plan all along. It just didn't work. And the reasons it didn't work are fairly simple. One, he is at the end of his career, and I don't think he knows how to really be a heel because he's been a babyface for a quarter of a century. So it's kind of, it's, no matter how, as good as he is, it's still an inverse of his personality. So he's trying to do that on air in a way that works. So he's still kind of experimenting at the tail end of his career with a personality he's never had to show on camera. So there's a bit of a learning curve there. I still think that he should have changed his music. That could have helped. He shouldn't have attacked the audience the way he did. Like, that wasn't very believable, although the abusive relationship part was good. But he should have been much more. It should have been much more about why The Rock did what he did. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but it's a massive misstep that one of the biggest stars in the company gives you a signal to turn heel. He does. He sells his soul, and then we get no follow-up on the sell your soul thing. It's inexcusably bad. Inexcusably bad. So it got off on a horrible foot right from the get-go. After Chamber, anyway. And then he wasn't there a lot to follow up on it. So, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, you can go into the minutia of it and really dig into a fine powder as to why and the different things he said. And yeah, it just didn't work. And I'm glad he turned babyface. And I was worried it was a double down too on SmackDown. I was really worried that it was going to be a double down and oh crap, here we're he's going to do a double turn again. And it's, see ya, I'm going to really make you hate me. Fans would have just been so turned off by that. They would have been like, no, just give us the real John Cena. And that's what we're getting. John Cena did say that the fans are going to dictate how his whole run goes here. And I think so far they have. They've kind of told you, hey, you tried. Thanks. A pat on the back. No matter what you do, we're just going to cheer you because you're leaving. There's nothing you can say. No, there's nothing as good as you are on the mic. There's no magic words you could say. Nothing you can do in the ring that'll make us hate you because you're leaving, and we're just going to have a good time with you the next 4 months. That's true because real life has superseded anything they're trying to do in the ring with John. It was the right call. It's the only call they could make. All right. Thank you, Danny. Okay, let's talk to Dennis. Dennis says, I hope you're well. Same to you. During the tag team match between Logan Paul, Drew, Randy, and Jelly Roll, When Logan splashed Jelly Roll through the announce table, did you or the listeners notice that that Logan handed Michael Cole something, but it was caught on camera? I'm just curious what he handed him. SummerSlam was very good. I enjoyed it. I think the Wide Six need to turn heel. They're a bit stale and a bit boring. Thanks. Have a great day. I don't know what he handed. I don't know what Logan Paul handed Michael Cole. I don't know. I didn't even notice that. I'll have to go back and look. I'm trying to think of the options that it could be. I really don't know. What could he have possibly handed Michael Cole that was just so important at that moment? I don't know. I mean, his cell phone? I mean, I don't know. Some kind of, I don't know. It wasn't a blade because nobody bled. I don't know. That's a good question. But the Wide Six turning heel, I don't even know if turning heel is the right idea. They need to do just something. Something. They've all fell off the face of the earth. Yeah, we all love and miss Bray. But you can only ride that wave for so long before you need to come up with your own unique identity beyond, we loved Bray. And that means you should cheer us. They're a tribute group that is running out of tribute. The fans are starting to just go, okay, cool, you use his music. And we have Bray's brother here, but we haven't heard from you guys in a long time. You're on TV so sporadically. Yes, you're the tag team champions now. That's good. But, can we do something here? And that's the problem. They have no unique identity. I appreciate at the beginning they did the VHS tapes. Remember that? To try to give everyone an identity. And then that's all they did. And we still didn't learn a ton even from that. And also, when's the last time Nikki Cross ever spoke? Nikki Cross is actually a decent talker. She's insane. But Nikki Cross just dresses up like the girl from the ring and we don't hear from her. So it'd be nice to hear Nikki Cross for the first time in 3 years. Hear her say something. Or really anything. Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas. Somebody needs to do something. Or just disband the damn group. I mean, I would agree. They're not doing much with them. And it's a bit disheartening. Thanks, Dennis. All right. This is Tom. And let's see here. Tom says, Seth versus Roman seems a sure Night 2 WrestleMania 42 main event, if there was one. I hope so. Seth cost him the belt at WrestleMania 40. Cost him his wise man at 41. It only makes sense that at 42 they do battle where I think Roman finally gets the best of Seth. I just hope that if Roman wins the belt, which would probably be the last one he'd ever win, he commits to a somewhat full-time schedule until he drops it. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Here's the other thing. I've said this with other wrestlers since, and not just men, but women like Charlotte, where they reach a point they don't need it, and Roman doesn't need it, and the belt doesn't need it. See, that's the other half of it is, has the belt lost value that you need to have one of your biggest stars kind of re-energize it? And I don't think the belt does. The belt, that Undisputed Championship hasn't really been at a point where you're worried about its own intrinsic value. Usually it's the guy who should help make the belt, but sometimes the belt does try to make the guy. That's not the greatest option, but it is one. Roman doesn't need it. I have no problem with him eventually recapturing a championship, but certainly they can't go on another run like they did last time. They won't. They can't. And there's no chance. There is just no chance of Roman Reigns going on a nearly 4-year run again. Now, when he wins it again, I think the fans will be very excited and have flashbacks to the days of old when he was champion and have kind of fuzzy feeling. And then the reality of it will go, oh, wait, guys, wait. Remember his last run? Remember how he basically wasn't there for most of the year? Remember that? So if they have another title run in Roman, and he easily could, I would advise that, number one, it's a lot shorter, like 6 months or less, and he's there much more frequently for that period of time. Because if he's once again an absentee champion as a babyface, the fans are going to turn on it. because they're going to very, very quickly remember, hey, wait a sec. This is a major reason that we did not like Roman Reigns at a real level. It's like, you're never here, bruh. And you're racking up all these days and going through all these milestones, but you're never here. I can do that too. 2, I used to be a Rock fan, but it's hard to be one anymore. I feel like the whole Cena turn was the worst followed up story in the history of wrestling, and it's all because The Rock literally just abandoned the whole thing. Well, Tom, I just kind of went over this, and I'm trying to not answer your question or respond to it because it's something I repeat myself on too much. I mean, to the detriment of the listeners, because I'm sure they're saying, oh God, don't talk about this again. No, please stop repeating yourself. And I have a really terrible habit of that. So I'm going to have to just say to that, listen to my previous comments on it about The Rock. That's all I can say about it. Because all I'll say to that, though, is I concur with your analysis wholeheartedly. Massive misstep. 3, can we please drop the bloodline story? I don't know half of these guys. The little fat guy and some Tongas have to go. Just keep at it. Roman, Solo, Fatu, Usos, Sammy, and maybe Talatanga. As I do think he has potential, but get rid of everybody else. I used to mean Tamatanga, Tongaloa, and JC Mateo, I think, right? I feel like it's ruined Jimmy. It's taken some steam out of Fatu. It makes Solo seem like he needs 10 guys in his faction to help him. Yes. I'll say yes to the fact that there's too many. Right now, it's watered down. That group has, the bloodline group is very watered down because of the fact that, I think they brought in too many too quick. And JC Mateo, I'm assuming he's the quote little fat guy you're talking about, but the fact that you even can distinguish him from the other Tongas is a good thing, even though it's supposed to be an insulting reference. I'm not hammering you for that. I understand your concern. I concur with your issue that there are just too many and it's watered down and the bloodline story. But here's the thing. The bloodline story, you look back even 2-3 years, people were saying, oh my God, is this still going on? Can we drop the bloodline story? And then it evolves like some kind of virus that mutates. It just continues on. And they found ways to continue to make it work. But at some point, you're going to run out of mutations. The mutations of the bloodline story are not infinite. So eventually they're going to say, okay, we've come to the end of the line. And this is an iteration where it's not interesting. It's formulaic. There's no real big story. It's very much a rinse and repeat formula for Solo. And he's working with various talent to help them get over the werewolf. We have a lot of guys here though that are trying to be made. See, the whole point of bringing in all these guys, Jacob Fatu working with Solo and trying to get the Intercontinental Championship, and he became a big star very quickly, and Jason Mateo and Tongaloa, Tamatanga, all these guys. While the introduction of them, for some of them, the last 3 especially, were very just kind of like, wait, another one? Who is this guy? A lot of us had that reaction. The idea is, and you have to respect it, new talent. You need new blood, no pun intended. They're trying to build new stars. This business is now and will forever be built on stars. And the star building process is not always fun. It's not always exciting because you don't know who these people are to start. And not that everybody's going to be a big star. Most won't. But you have to keep the train moving. You have to continue to see who is and is not going to make it. And who is and is not going to be even a star at all. Not a big one, just some kind of star. And you need to keep it moving. And the idea, though, that they don't need stars is just not. They need the star building process, and this is kind of like one of the unfortunate side effects of it. Is sometimes they just bring in too many people too quick, and the fans are just like throwing up their hands, going, "Yeah, whatever," All right, and lastly, there are great finishers. Then there's the crossroads. The only move I've ever seen that you have to hit 15 times before you get a 3 count. Are you trying to trigger me, Tom? You're hitting all my my trigger points. You should have come with a trigger warning. This email should have come with a trigger warning. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. Crossroads it's not a finish. It's not a finishing move. It's just not. You cannot tell me that a finishing move takes 3 applications or more to put your opponent down and it be worthy of being labeled a finish. It's not. All right. Let's go with 1 or 2 more, guys. Well, I told you we got quite the list here, guys. And we won't get into any voicemails today, all right, because of the time restrictions I have. But as I've said, if you're like, oh, what the hell? Sunday night, all right? I will put it on the back end of my weekend review, so I will absolutely read it. So that also gives everybody extra time if you want to add your thoughts or your voicemails to the show. You can do that. It's a good time. It gives you a little extra day or two to give me your email. All right. Where am I going? Where the hell am I going? Craig says, thanks for making a solid WWE program. I've been listening to your show for 2 years now and love it. Well, it's really cool. Thanks, Craig. You know, I say this a lot, but it still just boggles my mind. It's like you never know who the F is listening. Could be people I know, people I know and I don't like. That's very possible too. I've got a few of those floating around. Could be people I work with. I hope not. I'm not a big tell people about this, share it kind of guy. I really don't. If you found out about this and you know me personally in real life, I can guarantee I didn't tell you about this. Someone else did. I'm probably right on that. I'm not a big proponent of going, hey, you know what? I've got a podcast I do. No, because that's not my thing. I keep my world separate. I'm not big on that. Most people in my life probably don't know. They're like, whoa, you do that? What? You talk about wrestling. Oh, you mean that fake stuff? You get that sometimes. Yeah, but anyway, I don't know how I got on that. Regarding the Netflix series UnReal, I feel like learning how hot dogs are made. UnReal is taking the fun out of the programming. Many of us watch wrestling as a fun escape. The show is taking away from that. At some point, how much content is too much? Well, if I'm WWE, I know the answer to that. There's no such thing as too much. Because they are pushing out so much content that it makes me, I could vomit content. The next time I actually get sick from, I don't know, maybe I have some bad food poisoning, get the flu, COVID. I'm 50-50 on when I am throwing up in the toilet, if in the toilet as I'm vomiting, I'm going to see, WWE's documentaries come up in the toilet. There's just so much that it's, I can feel it coming up, and it's going to be part vomit, part WWE content that I'm flushing down the toilet. Sorry for the visual, but it's just they don't think there's such a thing as too much content. How do I know? Because they won't stop making it and making more of it. So, it's total saturation though. It is too much. Now, the argument against it is you don't have to watch it. That's what they'd say, right? I'm being devil's advocate. They would say, well, who's forcing you to watch it? Then don't watch it. Don't watch it. Don't watch it. Don't watch it. Here's the problem with that. You're kind of forced to watch it in a indirect way. Why? Because they're publishing how they make the show on the show that you don't want them to tell you how it's made. They're promoting the UnReal show during Raw and SmackDown, which previews how the show's made on the show that it's made. It's ridiculous. So, I get it. They have to do it, but why wouldn't you promote it on the shows that people are watching? But there's a bit of a weird dynamic there. It's like watching a movie and then they have intermission during the movie, but they tell you, hey, so stick around after the movie. We're going to tell you how this whole movie was made. And they give you a preview of the scenes that were in the movie that they show you, oh, this scene was shot this way, and this was shot this way. And these two guys that are fighting in the movie are actually best friends, and they're hugging each other. And, it's like, stop it. Stop. So you're kind of forced to watch it in a weird way and be reminded, at least, at the very bare minimum, that what you're watching is a work, as if we need the reminders. Yeah. Thanks, Craig. All right. Andrew, I'm going to get to your email. Let's see here. Andrew from Flint. I'll get to your email, but I will say, after your email, I see you have two of them, but they're short, so I'm going to read your two emails together. But this will be the final email, and then I have a couple of voicemails that I will post, as I said, on the Weekend Review show. All right, so final email. This is Andrew from Flint, and he says, hey, I heard on another podcast there are only a few select wrestlers, male wrestlers, that move the needle. Individuals that are worth the price of admission. Cody Rhodes, Gunther, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, John Cena, and maybe Gunther. Then there are borderline wrestlers, LA Knight, Jey Uso, Jacob Fatu. In your opinion, is it worrisome that the top names are either part-time or older? Who do you think will be the next wrestler to be put in that top echelon of talent? All right. Well, first of all, my concern is not about the borderline wrestlers or the individuals worth the price of admission or, the needle movers. My biggest concern is that you're listening to another podcast. How dare you, sir? How dare you? I actually do listen to other wrestling podcasts as well. I mean, we all know who they are. We all know the big ones. And I've said this many times. I have no issue with any of the big ones. I have no issue with, I love The Torch. I love Wade Keller. I've got no axe to grind there. I've got no agenda to help or hurt him. Just objectively, as a neutral listener and a fellow podcaster, I respect him and I respect his business and respect his podcast that he does. And he's been doing it longer than most people. He's like one of the OGs of podcasting. And he's also starting to just get into video and stuff on YouTube, which I can respect that too, because it's a whole audience that a lot of us podcasters aren't reaching, or us traditional podcasters aren't reaching with video. So that's also been something I keep trying to find time to do, and I dip my toe in and then I lose time. And anyway, the other guys like Jason Powell on Pro Wrestling Net, great listen, super intelligent. You talk about a wrestling, he's got the voice. He might have the most commanding male voice in pro wrestling podcasting of all time. I mean, he's got a great voice for listening, and I highly recommend both guys. So there's your shout out. I mean, I didn't expect to being promoting other shows on here. Maybe those aren't the shows you're talking about. It could be Busted Open, which I really don't have an issue with Busted Open, although Dave LaGreca can be quite annoying at times. And I will say, Bully Ray, he's got a lot of good insight. Yes, he's a former wrestler, as we all know, and that's fine. But on X the other day, someone was complaining about AEW and saying how some segment that somebody was videotaping their television about some segment that was ridiculous on AEW with Renee Paquette, something. And I don't know what was bad about the segment, but somebody was being critical of it. And Bully Ray responds back and says, shut up and just watch wrestling. Shut up and just enjoy wrestling, I should say. I mean, are you kidding? I mean, so wait a minute. There's so many levels of hypocrisy here. Number one, Bully Ray, in part, makes his living from critiquing the product, right? That's actually the thing that he makes money from, in part. I would imagine he has other income sources, but it's certainly a part of his income is going on Busted Open and being critical of or praising pro wrestling content. That's what he does, right? It's a fact. So bit hypocritical there. I mean, so that's number one. I'm sure in response, number two here, he would say, but see, the difference is that I've been in the ring. I have a more introspective opinion. I have a more, I don't know. His opinion just means more, right? Because he's been in the ring. To that, I would say, well, wait a minute. I'm the paying customer. Name another industry or sport in which the paying customer is not allowed to criticize the product or service that they're receiving for the money and time that they're trading for it. Am I not allowed to? I guess, again, by his extension, he should never be able to critique anything on the MLB, NFL, NHL, any other major sport. He should just shut his mouth, because I don't believe he's been involved in any of those other major sports because, hey, according to him, which I'm guessing he would say, can't have any opinion on something unless you've actually been in it. Pretty difficult principle to apply anything outside of just your narrow vision of fans on the internet complaining. Again, people who are trading their time and money for your product or service have every right to tell you whether it's good or bad. Comes with the territory. I am sorry if it hurts your tummy. Too bad. I'm so sick of that. I'm so sick of that crap. I understand it on a very quick, superficial level. Like, yeah, shut up and just enjoy it. Okay, first, that's also number 3, a horrible way to get anyone to change their behavior. That has a 0% success rate, guaranteed. When you just tell someone to shut up and enjoy something. Oh, okay. Well, when you put it like that, sure. Very convincing. So, again, I'm not a big fan of some of the crap he says. But anyway, to circle back, as far as, I don't know, I'm sorry I get on these tangents, Andrew, as you know. The individual's worth price of admission. Yeah, I mean, these are needle movers. This is nothing new, though. I mean, a lot of times you have older talent that are the needle movers because it takes them time to figure out who they are as a performer, become that polished, well-rounded wrestler, right? Find that connection with the audience, that organic connection that you hope is there. You are able to understand who and what you are, so you're comfortable on the microphone. You're safe, but a hard worker in the ring. You're stiff in the ring, but you're not unsafe. There's that balance, and it takes a long time, which is why the older guys typically are the ones that are the stars. Typically. As you said, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes. I mean, these guys aren't ancient. A lot of these guys have many more years in front of them. Punk probably doesn't. Drew, Seth, Roman, and Cody, especially Gunther, certainly have a lot more days in front of them. So, borderline wrestlers, yeah. First of all, it's not worrisome. Yeah, no, it's not worrisome to me. Because, again, that's just the nature of the business. It will always be the nature of the business. Always. That's how things go because it takes time. And as time goes by, we get older. And unless there's some kind of loophole or wormhole in space and time that pro wrestlers have been able to take advantage of, they're going to continue to be victims of time, and they're going to continue to, be older as they become bigger stars. That's just the way it is. So who will be the next wrestler to be put in that top echelon? I mean, out of Jacob Fatu, Jey Uso, and LA Knight, I mean, LA Knight's not a spring chicken either. He's in his 40s. Jey Uso, I might have reached his peak. I don't know. Jacob Fatu has a lot more potential there. I think Jacob Fatu in like 3, 4, 5 years could be in that category. Right now. Of course, the landscape can change in a blink. All right, last part of your email here, and then we're going to say goodbye. I apologize for sending 2 emails. That's okay. I'm always fascinated by the years I stopped watching WWE, which were 2008 to 2022. Yeah, that is a giant gap, my friend. That is a lot. 14 years. It's a long time. It's a long time. So it's fascinating to me because that's a hell of a time frame. Not only time-wise, but just what happened in that time frame. So this year, I want to talk about or ask about is 2019. More specifically, the Stomping Grounds PLE. I've heard this was the lowest of the low for WWE. What was the attitude going into the PLE? Where was your enjoyment level with the product in 2019? Apologize about the random email. I've just always been curious. All right. Well, Andrew, to close things out for Stomping Grounds 2019. Well, I can say, first of all, without even going back and looking at the card, I can answer your second question first about my general thoughts about the industry. I have never and probably will never fall off of the bandwagon of watching wrestling. I've seen some really bad stories. I've seen some really bad years, really bad matches, and so on. That all will never discourage me from watching or not watching pro wrestling. So my thought about the current product at that time, 5 years ago, I mean, I'm sure I can answer that now, even though it's 5 years ago and I don't remember the actual card. I'll pull that up in a minute. I can probably say, yeah, it wasn't great. Not a lot of top stars, but I'm still going to watch, and this was a year before the pandemic, right before Edge returned and the company got a boost. So let me pull this up, though. I'll give you more specifics. 2019 Stompin' Grounds. Let's see here. Roman Reigns was still the big dog. To give you guys, I'm sure you might be thinking the same thing. The tagline for this was, quote, kick ass and take names, with Roman Reigns as the big dog in his Superman punch position. And this took place on June 23rd, 2019 in Tacoma, Washington. 6,000 people were in attendance. The buy rate was 11,000, which did not include WWE Network views. But you got to remember, we're out of the pay-per-view model. 11,000 is actually still a lot. Considering the pay-per-view model was dead, long dead, and WWE Network was live for the last 5 years. Pretty amazing. But let's see. The match card, let's go to that because that'll really ring a bell here. So we had 9 matches. We had Drew Gulak defeat Tony Nese and Akira Tozawa for the Cruiserweight Championship. Becky Lynch beats Lacey Evans by submission for the Raw Women's Championship. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defeat the New Day in a tag team match. Ricochet beats Samoa Joe for the United States Championship. Daniel Bryan and Rowan beat Heavy Machinery, Otis and Tucker. Wow. Remember them? For the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championship, Bayley beats Alexa Bliss for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Roman Reigns defeats Drew McIntyre in a singles match. Kofi Kingston beats Dolph Ziggler by escaping the cage for the WWE Championship. Seth Rollins beats Baron Corbin by pinfall for the WWE Universal Championship with Lacey Evans as the special referee. So here's what I remember from this. I remember feeling, and I'm trying to drum up 5 years ago feelings without I'm not going to rewatch this PLE, but just based on what I'm reading. I remember that Lacey Evans being involved and Seth and Becky, when that whole thing happened with Baron Corbin, and remember Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans teamed up against Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. I know that wasn't on this card, but this was around the same time. I remember that was not good. I did not enjoy the chemistry between Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch on camera. But I mean, you had Kofi Kingston as the WWE champion. If you've listened to me for any length of time, you know I thought that was just a horrific run. I think he was a net negative to the value of that championship, and not because I don't think he's an actually genuinely good person or taking away his accomplishments in WWE or any of his longevity or the sacrifices he's made to be in the company and wrestle for us. It's simply based on his character that I thought was just an obnoxious, childish, total drain on the championship's value. I mean, with the pancakes and all the rest. And remember Brock Lesnar came in that July and just demolished him in 10 seconds. It was the best thing I've ever seen. It was like, okay, we're back. And I'm not making this. Some people will because it's today. Oh, black versus white thing. No, it's just that Kofi Kingston's personality sucked on air. And it's better now because he's a heel, which I think he was long meant to be. But his personality, I just remember just despising everything he stood for as a actual character on television. I did not enjoy his character at all, and I thought he was an abomination to the championship. Despite the fact, as I said, again, seems like a genuinely good human being, and he's a hell of a longevity and respect in the company. Didn't matter to me because he was just so bad. But I believe that was Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre first they're one of their first encounters. I know they also met at WrestleMania. That WrestleMania might have been. I'd have to look it up. But Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre actually have a pretty big history. And yeah, I mean, looking at this card for Stomping Grounds, it actually I don't know why people felt it was the lowest of the low. I mean, Kofi Kingston as champion is pretty pitiful. Seth Rollins beating Baron Corbin. I think people look at that as like, oh, Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin gets a lot of hate, but Baron Corbin is actually a pretty decent wrestler. He may be kind of boring on the microphone, but he's got a decent look, and the bum Corbin that he found a year or two later was the best version of Corbin that we've ever seen, when he had ketchup stains on his shirt and he was down on his luck and all the rest. It was just, that was classic. Great stuff. But, I mean, this card doesn't blow me away. I don't think this is a embarrassing card. I mean, how can it be? When you got Samoa Joe, Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Becky Lynch. Huge names. Daniel Bryan, Bayley. I mean, I don't look at this and go, wow, this is a super low point. I mean, maybe ratings wise. I'm not sure where we're getting the everyone was down and the lowest of the low. I think the lowest of the low, according to a lot of people, was December to Dismember in the mid to late 2000s. It was just go back and listen to some people's commentary on that. That was a horrific pay-per-view. So, all right. Well, thanks everybody. Again, the voicemails that I did not get to today, I will put on the Weekend Review show. As always, if you want to send your questions to me, I will answer them also on Sunday. I'll make it on the back end of the show, talking back to you guys and responding to whatever you want. And if you want to go on Patreon and go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast is the place to go. All right. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you in a couple days. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.